Happy holidays, everyone. Much love. This is another episode of Kojay's Corner, episode 6. I wasn't planning on doing any episodes during the holidays. However, me and my boy Darin had this discussion and we thought, hey, why don't we do it over the podcast? So this all started from, I think, my last episode appearance on Go Deep. And Darin was also on Go Deep, so I'll put that episode down in the comments so you could click that link and go to that, because you got to check it out. You got to get to know this guy in addition to this episode or before this episode, however you want to roll. It's all good. Kojay's Corner is very much an extension or inspiration or from Go Deep, mostly because Peely Swain is a good friend of mine. But anyways, we both are along that same vein of just letting the people talk and communicate with the people and let the people's voices be heard in the topics that we care about. So that being said, what started this is mostly my personal concerns and my worry is with censorship. Now, for me, censorship is more of a hindrance and the first pillar or the first step in leaning towards propaganda and filtering content to push some kind of agenda or sell products, which in my opinion is tied to agendas. Now, I believe and I have seen the industry censor things based off of repercussions or criticism of previous products. And I have also seen censorship and limitations and decisions to play it safe just to avoid such criticism and scrutiny. So it's kind of like they censored themselves before even trying to be bold. And for me, I felt I saw a bit of that in the Wonder Woman trailer. And what bothered me is a certain statement, very specific statement, on the worry of Wonder Woman looking too aggressive. I just don't want any limitations on Wonder Woman. She can do whatever she wants, but it's the philosophy and the mindset behind the decisions that they do which make me worry about such limitations and censorship and agenda-driven decisions. Not to say that it cannot be great. However, that is my concern. In addition to that, before we get into the interview, I want to put out there that I am not really telling other people to boycott anything. It's just that for me personally, and without even planning it, I've just naturally been less drawn to DC Comics. I don't like how things have been writing in the comics, and Warner Brothers movies that they put out, I've been having a hard time enjoying and seeing the films because the studio at the moment, until they release a Snyder Cut, for me, is just dirty. And everything I see, I can't help but think about the Snyder Cut, because for me it's more than just film. It's a malpractice, and how they use Snyder's daughter's death as a scapegoat to do certain things and get certain things in their vein of what they wanted. I felt they handled the situation very poorly, immorally, greedily, disrespectfully, and everything they did was not for the betterment of film. In fact, it was against it. And the fact that that has not been fixed by releasing the Snyder Cut, they're still guilty and tainted for me. So, not to start on an end note, I just want you all to understand where I'm coming from. These are my feelings, and I just don't feel right. Like, I was talking to a friend who does not like how the WWE is treating their talent, and how they have a malpractice of the show, and they're always changing and trying to micromanage and control the performance of their talent in the ring and even backstage on the mic is just stressful. And also the bad health plan. So then my friend feels like he cannot subscribe to their network, and he feels like he cannot get behind in giving them money to continue doing what they do. And I respect that, because that's a similar feeling as how I feel with what Warner Brothers did. And until they release a Snyder Cut, I feel there's no need for me to give them my money, because they've done me wrong by doing Zack Snyder wrong. So, on top of that note, let's get into the interview, because this interview is actually more of a discussion. I want to talk. And this is going to be what I call pop talk, where we just talk about things that are cool, and I hope y'all enjoy. I've been going yada 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 for too long. Let's get into the interview. God bless. And release a Snyder Cut. All right, what's up, everyone? This is your boy Kojay here in the house with Darin the Comedic Genius.
What's up, everybody?
Haha. So, you and I were talking a while ago. Interesting
Mm-hmm.
debate, because I'm still pondering it, and I had a conversation with someone on
Mm-hmm.
Twitter earlier regarding Wonder Woman 84.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm stuck on something, and I'm just kind of not excited to get behind Warner Brothers yet in their projects, but
Mm-hmm.
I just have concerns. But you were bringing up some great light about Wonder Woman 84. So I guess let's talk about Wonder Woman 84. What are your impressions?
Um, at first, I was just like, I was gonna watch it. I knew I was gonna watch it from the jump, but like, really wasn't like, because most of the movies, like, I keep up on like the behind the scenes stuff, like the photos and the set photos they release, stuff like that.
Yeah. I
And
love doing
I
that too.
really, I really wasn't doing it with this one, and it's not because of like, because I love the first movie and I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I just really wasn't keeping up with it. But then the first trailer came out, and that had my attention. And also the fact that Zach is still a part of that project. He's still a producer. He's a producer on it.
Yeah, because
And
he said at SnyderCon back in April, March, I forgot exactly when, but it was around that time. He said Hans Zimmer was going to be doing the score, and that didn't go public until way later.
yeah,
So, he's definitely a part of it, like you said. Yeah.
he's still attached to pretty much all the people that he hired. Jason Momoa, Gal Gadot, any of their movies that they come out with, Aquaman or Wonder Woman, he's still going to be attached to those as a producer, because he's the reason that they're in those roles, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Also, their
Even the
costumes, the
Flash,
world setup, the history.
yeah, yeah, he still has a hand in a lot of stuff at Warner Brothers. I think he does. You
Well, I
know,
think legally with certain ideas, they have to credit him on
yeah,
certain mandates and whatever.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, oh, I want to support, but at the same time, um, I just have a uncomfortable feeling with the whole Snyder Cut
Everybody's
situation.
everybody's everybody's burned from what happened in the past, so it's understandable.
Mm.
They don't want to support something, and then that same stuff happens again, and it's going to be like a big slap in the face.
Yeah,
But I think the people that made those decisions and screwed everything up, I think they're all gone except for maybe like one person. That's the what's the dude's name?
that Toby guy.
Yeah, Toby Emmerich. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And they got Walter Hamada in charge, and I think he seems pretty solid from what he's been doing so far. Because a lot of things that since he was in charge that Warner Brothers said that was going to go on has pretty much been starting to happen. I mean, like the Flash has been in limbo, but
Mm.
it looks like that's pretty much starting to. Hopefully, that's going to happen. And I don't know, man. It seems like it's in a good place right now. I mean, I know a lot of people, myself included, hate what happened with Zach, and we wanted to see his original 5-part story.
Yeah, me too.
But as they're not going to come out and say it, but they pretty much put DC through a soft reboot. I
Yeah.
think they did. And I think for the most part, it's going to work. There's the only thing really that on the slate of the DC movies that's coming out right now that has me worried is Birds of Prey.
That is interesting. Why do you say that?
That has me worried because Black Mask is one of my favorite villains. He's probably not in like my top 5, but he'll be in like my top 10.
Cool, cool.
And this is nothing against gay people or anything like that, because I have gay friends and I love them to death. But if that is true about the whole reason why he's after that diamond, because his dick pics are in it, that's the only thing that has me worried. I mean, like, could y'all really not think of something better than that to, if that's true? That's just a rumor.
Right,
But
right, of course.
that's the only
Grain of
thing that
salt.
has me worried, because really the rest of it I'm sold on. But it's that one thing, because I think when you have a villain like Black Mask, his first on screen adventure should not be that.
Mm,
But
very
that's the
much.
only thing that has me. And I need that Man of Steel too. I'm ready for that. Yeah, put that on the table, and then we're all set.
Yeah, I think. What do you think when people say Man of Steel 2? Are you thinking that people are saying that because they want another Henry Cavill Superman, or they want a Superman movie of Henry Cavill to happen in between Man of Steel and BVS?
I think they want another. I don't think they're counting BVS as pretty much like the second Man of Steel movie. Some people do, but I think most people don't. I think they want what Henry Cavill wants, and he wants. He said it in that interview about when they were interviewing about The Witcher, and they asked him about Man of Steel. He said that he wants to continue pretty much where Man of Steel left off, and that's like dealing with Superman dealing with like committing that act of like killing Zod, and because Superman's one of those heroes, like he doesn't really kill. He has in the comics, but it's like a
Yeah,
big thing for him, and you can tell in Man of Steel when he did that, it was just like this horrible act, like something he
yeah,
couldn't believe he did, and he wants to continue on from that, and lean into that character that Superman becomes. He even said it himself, not like that chocolate box version, like not the goody two shoes, like Superman character, like a little bit of it, but mostly like that badass version of Superman.
yeah. I always thought it would be like a test of his character of how he became to be so wise, because I feel people misinterpreted Superman's clean streak as being a goody boy, Boy Scout
Yeah,
two shoes,
yeah.
but um, I feel you've read enough comics to maybe see where I'm going when I say that I feel Superman has a deeper philosophy, and
He
he
does,
knows
and
the
that's
core
what
meaning
Zach
of
was
right and
going
wrong.
for. That's what Zach was going for, also to like make Superman like more relatable. Like
Yeah,
give
because it's
him
a process to get
somebody,
there.
yeah, somebody that with much power as him. Put him in our world. Put him in like situations in the real world, and if okay, if Superman existed today in the world we live in now, it would be exactly how Man of Steel was. It'd be exactly how BVS was. You would
Hmm.
have people that's against him and think that he's up to no good, and then you would have people that would love him. And that's what made those movies so great.
Even the reception of those films reflected that same theme.
Exactly.
So it's very much a mirror of society, which is why I love those films because when we see the animations in the comics,
Hmm.
usually, and my favorite is that Metropolis and Gotham, they go all out. They kind of go off world in their design. Like we've seen like in Bruce Timm's animation series of Superman and Justice League, Metropolis almost resembles some um kind of campy design, kind of
Hmm.
futuristic, kind of like Flash Gordon design in the architecture of the buildings. And they have some low key advancements of technology in their ATM machines and whatever, but still has a hint of retro. And then you have Gotham, where it seems like, the 1830s didn't leave, but technology is still around.
And
And
Gotham is like really dark and gritty,
yeah, they really,
and
it's,
there's more light in Metropolis than there is Gotham. Put it like that.
yeah, it's like maybe overcast every day in Gotham, but
Hmm.
it's very drawn out to a kind of out of time setting. And when you have films like the Nolan trilogy, it's Batman in our world,
Hmm.
up to date, and that's how I took Man of Steel. Not so much as dark, but I want to say grit. because I like that. It
Ex-
felt very
Written
grounded where we are now.
yeah, like more like realistic.
But then
Because
they went fantasy with it because the action was very DBZ comic book like, which I thought was great.
well, see that you got to do that when you have a character like Superman. When you have a
Mm.
character like Superman and like he's fighting somebody like Zod, you have to have those kind of fights because that's like I said, if two superpowered beings started fighting in our world today, that's how it would be.
Mm-hmm. And it is scary if you think about it.
Very scary. Like when I didn't get when Man of Steel came out, everybody made a big deal about the destruction and like how much Metropolis was destroyed. And I'm thinking that's how it's going to be if two superpowered people are fighting in the sea. There's going to be destruction. There's going to be death. As bad as that sucks to say, but that's
No, it's
exactly
true.
how it would be.
Yeah, and it's also like a classical, like you see a shootout in a western, and the whole bar and the whole town's all messed up and all that. It's because these guys are throwing punches, drinking, and shooting their guns.
Yep.
And that's just not sugarcoating the violence. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's like let's be real for a moment, and play with this. Because I do
Exactly.
like Avengers. However, I got a Power Ranger vibe when they were going through New York. You got this centipede type of creature flying in the air, just crushing buildings to the side. But then there's like conveniently no one there. And then they didn't go
Exactly.
into the detail of the people being terrified until Captain
Civil
America:
War.
Civil War.
Exactly. See, we were on the same page. That's when it started showing the pretty much like the damage that was done by that.
Yeah, so since they said that existed during Avengers and Civil War, going back to Avengers, I was like, huh, you guys purposely didn't show that. So then I feel Avengers was censored after I saw Civil War.
Hmm.
But not to say that same horrors were there, It's
Yeah.
like, it's just very interesting what people choose to show and not.
I don't know, man. It's there's a lot of stuff I just kind of just I'm just baffled by it. Like I don't know. Like you ever see something and you just try to wrap your head around it, but you just can't, and you just don't know what to say.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I think that's what's so fascinating about this movement. All of us are still talking because we're trying to figure out the riddle. And I'm wondering, what if us trying to figure out the riddle of why they're doing that, on the opposite side, these companies, these execs are trying to figure out the template to make everybody happy. So when mixed reviews come out, they're like, "Oh, we don't like that. We want everyone to just love our product." You know?
Well, I think that's the mistake that they make in the first place. I think
Exactly.
when you're in that kind of business, the entertainment business and all that stuff. I mean, I understand you're running a company and you want your product to do good, but not everybody's gonna like your stuff. Not everybody's gonna have the same feeling as the next person.
Especially when it's art related, because the art related is very preference based and you can't really control that.
Yeah,
I mean, we see the
yeah,
food industry trying to cheat every now and then. They throw a little bit extra sugar in the buns at their fast food places just to hype up
yeah.
the flavor in a cheap way. But um, I worry about censorship being like that. Now, throw it back on Wonder Woman. Um, the only thing that bothered me was just that statement of removing the sword and shield, not for story elements. Story elements I'm fine, but
Uh-huh.
the statement that Gal Gadot said, and I'm very sure she got this from production because she's an actress. As far
Hmm.
as course change or course direction, talent, unless they're part of the production, they don't get a say. They just repeat, okay, this is what we're doing, and they're kind of like the mascot for the film when they go on these tours and interviews. But her saying that the removal of the sword and shield because it made Wonder Woman aggressive, that was my little red flag right there with the Black Mask thing for you.
Yeah.
That
I,
bothers
s-
me because I'm just wondering if they're censoring her.
I wonder if it's also, and this is just me thinking, because I was thinking
Yeah,
about
sure.
that too. But then I was like, when she uses her sword and shield, Like it's to fight. Like okay, the first movie she had it, and she was fighting Ares. Was it? Who was at the end of the
It
first
was
movie? She
Ares,
was.
but she was also fighting soldiers, but also she was going
I was
into
thinking about
world
that too.
unknown.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And then like in Justice League, well, yeah, and just she fought Steppenwolf with. So I don't know, man.
I mean, they
I
have
guess,
leeway to have her not use the sword and shield where she doesn't need to. I mean, when she fought Ares, she lost that sword. And I
yeah,
don't know if she's gone back to Themyscira to get another one. However, we do see in Batman v Superman, she's a rich art dealer and collector. But
yeah,
how she got to that, obviously, when you live longer, you can probably save your money a lot better. You don't need to worry about rent or stuff. You just save a lot of money. Who knows? Invest in like jewels that you found. I don't know, but
yeah,
like in the Highlander stories, a lot of those Highlanders they had a lot of money because they had a long ass savings.
yeah.
But oh, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I'm saying I can understand story wise why she doesn't have and or need a sword and shield. It's just that did they have to mention that it made her look too aggressive, which is a reason that they didn't give her a sword and shield.
And it's like it's Wonder Woman. Like, why would y'all not want Wonder Woman to
It's
look
like why would you
aggressive?
be afraid of that? I mean, you could just leave
Yeah,
that out.
and that's where a lot of companies mess up at. They try to cater to everybody. I feel like
Mm.
instead of just letting the character be the character how they're supposed to be, they want to change it to try to appeal to a certain group of audience members.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, I see y'all trying to do that from a business standpoint, but at the same time, it's like, what about the art? What about the storytelling?
Yeah.
It's like, come on now.
I don't know how old you are, but I'm gonna take you back like maybe a few decades. When
I'm
Ninja Turtles,
32.
what's up?
I'm 32.
Ah, okay, I got 8 years more on you. But back in the day, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie came out, and
Hmm.
for me that was
Classic.
oh, I'm glad you love it. Yes, so for
Love
me
it.
that was my first BVS or Man of Steel experience because uh, I felt like they honored the comics.
Hmm.
At the time, I didn't know they were comics, but I felt like they honored the turtles. Like you saw them, you could identify who they are. Very distinctive.
Hmm.
And they were green, and then they had the big eyes, just like in the cartoon show, and the circular heads. They didn't resemble like real turtles at all. So I
Yeah.
like that the Jim Henson studio was able to make realistic versions of the caricatures that we saw on screen and in action figures. But the tone was very down to earth. It felt like they were in our world. They had real life consequences and they
Hmm.
had struggles as any family and a bunch of siblings would grow up. And the fighting was legit martial arts. Now, the martial arts choreographer was Pat Johnson, the guy who choreographed all but two fight scenes in Mortal Kombat, the 1995 movie. He choreographed the Karate Kid, and he was one of Bruce Lee's students. So we're getting that
Wow.
quality of martial arts in Ninja Turtles. Then I
Wow.
remember on the news, because my mom gave me shit about it. She's like, "How could you be watching this violence? What is wrong with you? You need your grades up." She's South Indian, so
Yeah.
she's all on that, right? And
Yeah.
then I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, look at this news report. And the news report was literally saying that parents are outraged at the violence in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then, come around the second one, um, there was an article going out to the people saying this one is not violent as the first one. And we saw that. It was funnier. Dontel had a lighter voice actor because his voice was too raspy in the first one. Their teeth were cleaner all of a sudden. It wasn't as gritty. Everything was well lit, overly well lit, in my opinion. And any character with blades, Raphael and Leonardo, they did not
Hmm.
use their blades other than just moving around or as a prop. Whereas, and it was mostly hand to hand, and the fighting was mostly comical. So it's like they took the the edge or the violence, they definitely censored it and toned it down. And then they amped up the characters. They were true to the characters. The characters were wonderful. And they were funny, like Ninja Turtles are. However, the seriousness and the threat of the violence was dumbed down to kind of like, kind of slapstick, or it's just like there. But it wasn't really it didn't have like its like pro wrestling in-ring storytelling for per fight. It was just kind of like throwaway
Wow,
choreography just to be there for the sake of it.
I
That
did not
is
know
the
that at
type of
all.
censorship that I worry about with whatever new direction or playing it safe Wonder Woman 84 might be doing.
So this kind of stuff has actually been going on for years then, because I didn't have no ideas about that at all about the Ninja
Yeah,
Turtles.
not many people do because the whole thing is when companies censor,
Yeah,
they want to run with it like it was a great idea or it was never a problem to begin with.
but you know what? Now that I think about it, I can get like if I think about the first Ninja Turtles, then I think about what was the second one, The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, I still love it
I can
though,
Yeah, I still love it, but you know what? Now I can tell there's just like a difference in tone in those movies.
right?
And just yeah, okay, yeah. Wow, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that at all.
That's why I'm scarred when I see repeated things in the past happen, like the whole
Yeah.
Donner cut, and then we're back in Snyder cut. It's like whatever course corrections these companies do to play it safe so they could please everyone.
Yeah.
I feel like it's either they're not paying attention to history, or they're not really trying to make a film, or they're just trying to make a popcorn movie.
But then here's what I don't get, okay? If they did take away the sword and shield, to for her make her look too aggressive or whatever, why are they worried about that? But then they have movies like Birds of Prey, which is rated R, and then they had a movie like Joker, which is rated R. I guess maybe because Wonder Woman appeals to like more kids, maybe. I don't know.
Well, also, if we're looking at, because the most advantage thing you could do about censorship is, if it's catered more to a general audience, I'm guessing you could sell more product. Because the Wonder Woman
Yeah.
symbol has been selling on T-shirts for many many years.
Hmm.
When BVS came out, and there were Lego sets that came out, action figures that came out, and Lego sets are
Yeah.
what for kids 6 plus and up. So it's like maybe they feel if a film is rated R, they can't make the toys or the commercialized products to go with it. What if Wonder Woman does have a tiara that she could throw around, and then you see in the stores at the toy stores, kids have this frisbee in the shape of a Wonder Woman tiara that they could throw around, or something like that. Or maybe they could sell more doll lines of Wonder Woman, or have more fun with it. Nothing wrong with that. I just worry that when
Yeah.
they censor things, it's to make it easier to sell other things attached to it.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
Kind of like in you know, remember in '97 when Batman and Robin came out, and
Oh,
they tried to say most of that movie was like geared towards selling toys, like the kind of things they had in the movie.
yeah, they weren't shy about that movie at all.
Oh my goodness, man!
Even
I
the
was
actors
so
were like, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, like they who was it? Chris O'Donnell said, "Oh yeah, it was pretty much just to sell toys." And you know what? I went back and watched here recently. I went back and watched all the original Batman movies, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and when it came to Batman and Robin, I just couldn't do it.
You
I
can do
I
it.
couldn't do it. Like Batman Forever, I was like, man, when this came out, I was like 8 years old, and I was so hyped about this movie, and I still have a soft spot for Batman Forever,
You know
even though
what?
there's
I'm
a
with you
lot.
there too. Batman Forever did some good stuff. I'll let you take the
Yeah,
floor.
there's a lot of things that I can't stand, like Two Face and the Riddler. They're pretty much like the Joker, all zany and wacky, but like I said, I still have a soft spot for it. But
Yeah.
then when it came to Batman and Robin, I was just like, I can't do it, can't do it. All right, I put the Blu-ray up, put it back on the shelf, can't do it. And
Oh, yeah.
I only have it because it was in the 4 pack.
Yeah, I only have it because it's in the 4 pack of the DVD set I bought. I was like, I'm not doing Blu-ray. I'm gonna do DVD, see how I feel, then maybe I'll move up. But I have Batman Returns on Blu-ray. That I love that joint so much.
I
Um,
like Batman Returns too, but then it's like, do you ever watch Jeremy Johns on YouTube?
no.
You know, he's like this movie critic, Jeremy, and he loves like just like a movie critic, but he loves like the nerd stuff too. And he said the perfect thing about Batman Returns. All right, if you know Tim Burton's quality of movies, you know it's always like the dark, creepy type weird type stuff going on in it, right?
Yeah, not just that though. He's very specific on his sets. Like his sets
Yeah,
always have this kind of curve and this like elongated finger feel, like things are stretching out.
exactly. He said that the first Batman was a success, so this is what he said. The first Batman was a success, so Warner Brothers said, "Okay, you have free range to do whatever you want with Batman Returns." And it's just like, bam, look what happened. Perfect example, Wayne Manor. Look at Wayne Manor in 1989 Batman, and then in Batman Returns, just like this house sitting on a hill, like creepy, no
Right?
lights, and it's stuff like that. But I have a soft spot for those movies, so I
Hey,
can't
I
front.
do too. I feel like Batman Returns was Tim Burton with the gloves off.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel Batman Forever was Tim Burton, but giving the reins to someone else. And I know from the making of, it sounded like Joel Schumacher was like, "Where's Robin in all this? I need to bring Robin, just like the show." When I heard
yeah.
him say that as a kid, because TNT had all these behind the scenes specials, I loved it.
Uh
I
huh.
always watched those. And when I heard Joel Schumacher say that specifically for Batman Forever, I had a
Uh huh.
feeling it was going to be based off of the Adam West show or in that vein. And I felt it was a rebooted world because they recast Harvey Dent. Harvey Dent was Billy D. Williams in the
Oh
first one.
yeah, yeah.
And
He
then when I
was.
saw he was recast, I was like, oh, this is an alternate world. But then Alfred's the same, so I was like, okay, it's just a
Alfred's the same. Commissioner
alternate.
Gordon's the same.
Mm-hmm. So I figured it was just an alternate world. But what I do like about Batman Forever is back then they used a lot of miniatures. And when you use a miniature, you take the camera and you move it around to make it
Hmm.
look like something's flying through the set. But the movement during the action also was on a lot of dolly tracks and jibs and cranes that felt in the same motion of going through the sets. So I felt like it was a good connection of motion with just movement with the whole hype raver scene of Gotham.
Yeah,
And I liked it. I thought it was very complete, even though it was kind of goofy. But I took it as a reboot mostly because they made that change with Two Face.
yeah. You know what would have been the perfect way to do the Riddler?
What do you
Okay,
think?
even though if this movie wasn't out back then. It came after Batman Returns. But you remember the Jim Carrey movie, The Number 23?
Yes.
Take Jim Carrey in that movie and make him as the Riddler. Bam, there you go.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Because you know who I always thought would be a great Riddler?
Who?
I was actually hoping for Robin Williams to be
He
Riddler.
wasn't he on the short list to be the Riddler at
I
first?
forget, but I was
I
hoping
think
he
he
would be.
was.
But bring in not a character of his funny side, but bring in character of his dark side, like movies like
Bringing that it's
Insomnia.
Yeah, Insomnia and 1 Hour Photo, where he's
Yes. Oh,
just
yes,
downright
that's the one.
creepy.
1 hour photo.
Yes, where he's just creepy. Yes, that's the perfect Riddler.
Oh, that would be great. Ah, God bless his soul.
Do you remember? Oh man, that's a legend. Like if you, I've never met anybody that said they never loved Robin Williams movies like back in the '90s. Just made
Mm.
everybody smile. Everybody was happy.
Dude, I grew up seeing well, I saw a lot of TV I shouldn't have as a kid, thanks to my
Me
father.
too.
But I did see Mork and Mindy, and I thought he was cool.
Oh yeah, and he had the little spaceship egg.
Yeah, nanu nanu.
Yeah.
Oh, that was great. Oh man.
um, was it? You know who I thought would have been a perfect Mister Freeze?
Ooh, who?
Patrick Stewart.
Oh, you took it right out of my mouth. I was envisioning Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart would have been a perfect Mister
Oh,
Freeze.
he would be good because I fell in love with Mr. Free. At first, I didn't like him
Yeah.
because the Adam West show confused me because there was a Mr. Freeze and a Mr.
Oh
Frost or
yeah.
Doctor Frost.
Oh yeah.
So I
I
was
fell in
confused
love
on
with
who's
Mister
the real deal.
Freeze on the animated series,
Yeah, the animated series is one that made me love him because he's all Nora, I
and he's
need
just
you.
like that. He's just like that scientist, and you kind of feel bad for him because you know what he's trying to do, but at the same time, Batman's like, I gotta stop this guy anyway. So
Yeah, but the way he carried himself and the way he sounded, he seemed like a old Twilight Zone type of creepy character with like
Yeah,
no emotion, and he was just, like Batman, I will kill you. He's very set in his ways, and you rarely get emotion. And then to
yeah.
get someone who's like, I'm going to freeze you, it's
What
just
were
like,
they thinking,
oh
man?
man.
Like, did they even? I, I can't get started on that, man. Like, I can't.
There was a huge Arnold hype back in that time, man, and it was like, what is he going to do next? And that was already like a selling point for the time.
They
So
should let Arnold Schwarzenegger be Bane if that's the case.
that would be great because then we could barely hear him talk.
But at the same time, don't even get me started on Bane. They butchered Bane so bad on that movie.
Yeah, but I feel Bane in that one is still better than The Dark Knight Rises. I'm not
You
too much
think
of a
so?
Bane fan on that one. Well,
I
then
like
again, I
Bane on The
take
Dark Knight Rises.
no, I like it. I just don't consider him Bane. He's to me he seems more like Abu. Remember Abu who was always like next to Ra's al Ghul? He's like infidel, you know? I always figured Bane was like that version of that. And again, though, seeing Bane come from the League of Shadows, that was another sign that okay, this is not, this is a different world of Batman. This isn't the
Yeah,
world of
work
Batman.
that
So chill the
that
f out.
Bane that Bane worked for the Nolan world.
It works for the Nolan world, correct, but not my Bane. That's why I'm
But
not being nitpicky and damning the film. You
but
know?
that Bane, I don't think that Bane would work in like okay, say the new Batman movie that they're making. That the Dark Knight Rises Bane wouldn't work for that one. You know?
Mm, right.
Yeah, that wouldn't work. Not on that.
Nah, no way.
Like I don't think like Heath Ledger's Joker wouldn't work in like the Snyderverse.
No,
Like
actually, I'm with you on that. It wouldn't work. I don't
like
think
uh
even Joker would, like
like
Todd Phillips.
no, he wouldn't. Jared Leto's Joker was perfect for that world, and as much as people don't want to admit it, like if they would have kept his scenes in that movie, I think he would have. I think he would have been like a good competitor for. He would be up there with uh, Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix, Jack Nicholson, because he was that comic book Joker.
I
Like
agree, and the fact that he was tatted and the design of him reflected the real world that they existed in.
yeah, and you know what? That
That's what
I
I feel.
actually like that look. It was different. Like it was different from what we're used to.
Mm.
And like the kind of tattoos that he had, it was just stuff that reflected like the Joker, like had the Batman symbol with the knife going through it, and had the dead Robin with the arrow through the heart.
Yeah, and it makes sense because even in the comics around Joker's base and everything, there's always some kind of cut and paste graffiti art all over his place. Like he writes haha on the screen. I mean, if
Yeah,
he's in the jail, why wouldn't he tat himself up? I see that
and
happen.
then also there's comics where I don't know which comic it is, but there's a comic where Joker has like this big tattoo on his back. I forgot what it
Oh,
is.
like a
Yeah,
Yakuza type of huge tattoo?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
You'll have to like look. I'll send you a picture of it. But yeah, there's a comic, and Joker has tattoos on his back. But another thing that bugged me is when people's like, "Oh, he has a grill in his mouth." That's not a grill. If you look closely, that is not a grill. That is from where Batman busted his teeth out. And
Mm-hmm.
where, if they would have continued with the story that they were going with, why did Batman bust his teeth out? For killing Robin.
I
Bam.
mean, the stars align, brother.
And there's another comic where I don't know if you've seen it. I haven't read the comic itself, but where Joker's like, "What did you do to my smile?" and his teeth are busted out.
You know
That's
what?
what they're
I think I
that's what
remember
they're
that
going
too.
with. I'm telling you, man, if they would have kept Jared Leto's scenes in there, he would not be getting the hate that he's getting right now.
I'm with you
They
on that
can't.
because I feel his performance was very. It brought me back to Joker from the animated series, like how he carried himself,
Exactly.
it seemed like
Exactly.
he himself did not know what he was going to do next. The
Exactly.
randomity of him is dangerous.
And really, when you think about it, can you see the only live action Joker that I can see with a girlfriend is either Jared Leto or Jack Nicholson. I can't see Heath Ledger's Joker with a girlfriend. I can't see Joaquin Phoenix. But you know what? That's fine because there's many different versions of the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
that's fine.
yeah, and to go back on the girlfriend bit, uh, I remember in the comics when Joker found out he actually has feelings for Harley Quinn, and when he
Really.
found out that he actually loves her, that threw him off because oh he has a vulnerability, or he doesn't like that, or he's just like the people he hates who have families and shit. Whatever reason, he did not like that reaction, and he tied her to a rocket and shot her into the air just to get rid of her. So
Really.
knowing that he realized he had feelings for her, when I watched Suicide Squad, the small moments that we had Joker, watch him carefully and watch with the mindset thinking of he's trying to figure out what this girl means to him. He's trying to figure out, do I love her? Do I need her?
And you
What is
see
this?
that
Because
you
when he
see that
offers
when she
her to
falls into
Common,
acid.
yeah, when he offers her to Common, I forgot Common's character. I'm like, yo, Common, DC movie, hell yeah. So when he offered her to Common, he's like, yeah, why don't you have her? And then there's this moment where he's just looking at the situation, seeing if it excites him or something like that. And even in the end, when he hugged her, he's like, let's go home. His eyes seemed like his thoughts were elsewhere. So I
Hmm.
think he's still trying to figure out what she means to him, to either kill her or use her. And I like that
And
because I felt Jared Leto captured that tiny truth of what Joker felt for Harley Quinn the whole time.
do you remember the scene in Suicide Squad where she jumped into the chemicals and he was going to leave her there and he turns around and walks away and he's just like because he feels for her, so he
Right.
dives back in there after her.
I thought that that scene was beautiful, honestly. It was like an interesting courtship. It's like he's trying to figure her out, she's trying to prove herself, and in the end he finds it freaking hilarious.
Do you have did you watch the extended, well,
I
quotation
only
marks,
watched the
extended
extended
cut?
cut because I thought that was the director's cut, which it isn't.
No, there's
But I
like
watched that one only.
10 more minutes of footage in there. But you know the scene where they're in the middle of the road and she shoots the trucker?
Yeah, I like that scene.
You know that scene was even cut. That scene's way longer because yeah, there's set videos of it, man. When he takes the gun away from her, he smack like there's more dialogue between them in that scene. But also when he takes the gun away from her, he smacks her.
Yeah, because Joker would always beat her every now and then.
Yes, and that's another reason why I think they cut his scenes out because it was actually showing their relationship, like that the stuff they go through,
Mm-hmm.
how horrible it is. It was showing that in the movie, and that's probably why they cut it too, because that was in the wake of all the it's too dark and too violent type, type
Ah,
thing.
but that was the thing because Joker and Harley were an example of a unhealthy relationship. You have
Hmm.
a passive aggressive and physically aggressive person, and Harley Quinn was the example of codependency.
Yeah,
And what made Harley Quinn so beautiful and so many people love her is specifically when she said "F you, Joker, I'm going solo," and she had her lesbian relationship with Ivy, but they were really like good friends and sisters, despite whatever they may have explored. And then Harley Quinn was coming into her own as a person because she kind of broke from that shell, and
that
that's when
makes me
people start really being fans of her.
that makes me wonder, was David Ayer going to explore that any in his Gotham City Sirens script that he
Oh,
had?
his 3 movie arc, I was so excited for, man.
Because his next one was supposed to be Gotham City, and Black Mask was going to be his villain because he tweeted out a photo of Black Mask.
Oh, I remember that. I feel that Birds of Prey is really a slap on name to them taking the breadcrumbs of what Gotham City Sirens was going to be.
Yeah,
Because Birds of Prey is no original line about Birds of Prey other than maybe Huntress and Black Canary.
yeah,
But it looks more like, I don't know, a mix of 2 different scripts trying to make use of
that's
what they
what.
have.
But you know what? I'm gonna give it a chance because I love Margot Robbie as Harley,
Oh, I
and
love her too, yes,
I
but
just want to see. I want to see where it goes next, man. So
yeah, and it
I've
could
already
be
told.
fun.
I've already told my girlfriend. I said we're going to that on opening night. That's gonna be our date night that day. So, but everybody says Jared Leto's done his Joker, and if he is, I hope we get the air cut so we can actually see his performance. But I just find it weird, like, because Margot Robbie is definitely still Harley Quinn. Like, are they gonna have Harley Quinn in the DC world without Joker? Or like, what's gonna go on with that?
Mm. I think it's they're trying to please everybody, so I think they keep elements that did work for their eyes.
Uh-huh.
Because I think they know by now that when the rumor of, oh, sorry, my dog is crazy right now.
You're fine, man.
All right, but oh dang. Anyways, yeah, he always feels he has something to say about the cars going on outside. So, anyways, I think that they know from experience that changing a beloved casting will rub a lot of people wrong and could actually do more, could lose the rare loyalty they have. Because remember when the rumor was going around that Henry Cavill was not going to be Superman, and then he
Everybody was
released a video
outraged.
of him holding an action figure of him with some weird
Yeah,
dogs in the background.
yeah.
That moment broke the internet. All that,
Hmm.
everyone's like, no, you can't take him away. Da, 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 da. So I think they're trying to please everybody while trying to do the wrong thing, or what they think is the right thing, the wrong way. And I feel that they can get away with it only for so long, because questions are going to rise up, because the audience is always smarter than they assume us to be.
Yeah.
And I feel that DC, up to a certain point, they do have a trump card of using the multiverse, because they are known to use the multiverse better than anyone. They could do a Flashpoint, they could do a Crisis movie or something.
That would be awesome if they did, but I wouldn't want that to happen for a long time.
Yeah, I wouldn't
For
want it to happen for a long time. I want them to build the world up before we
Yeah,
see multiple
exactly.
worlds, because I feel like the people who did build a solid world, they're running away from and they're ruining it, because DC is not like Marvel. Marvel has real places like New York, and this hero's in New York, and this hero's in New
Yeah.
York, and they have a lot of shit going on in New York. I don't know why that city has problems in Marvel. It should be the safest city in the world, you know?
Exactly.
But case in point, Marvel has real world settings. Now DC has fictitious settings. It's kind of like they have um, the Shire, or they have Rivendell, they have Gondor. Those are specific places, and when you keep changing that, you get further and further away from the established fantasy and world that you have. So then, when you do a crisis thing, no one's even going to care, because there's already screwed up so many times.
Yeah. Uh,
No, no, this is just a concern. Maybe I'm overthinking it.
no, man, you never know, man. Especially with all the craziness that's gone on at DC in the past 3 years.
Hmm.
Just you never know. But I think today they're on the right path. Like I said, the only thing that worries me about it today is Birds of Prey.
Hmm.
I'm still gonna see it. Like the whole slate of DC movies that they release is coming out from like 2020 to what is it, 2022? Is that when the Flash and Aquaman's coming out? 2022, I think it is.
Something like that. 2022 or 2021.
I think it's 2022 because
Okay.
Batman, Suicide Squad, and Black Adam comes out in 2021. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
There we go.
yeah. So like out of all those movies, like that's the only one that has me worried, and I hope it proves me wrong. If that movie proves me wrong, I'm gonna come back on your podcast and I'm gonna say I was wrong.
You are welcome on this podcast whenever, bro. It's still growing, so no problem there. Cause I like being proved wrong. It's not a bad thing. In a
I have
sense,
no
for
I have no
entertainment, it's a
problem with
gift.
saying I was wrong, and I think that's what a lot of people out there need to do. Like just man up and say I was wrong. No, ain't
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that at all.
If anything, it's liberating, because the stress of having to be right all the time just sounds agonizing, my man.
It's exhausting.
Yeah. And I don't know.
I know what I wanted to ask you about.
Yeah, what's up?
Um, what did you think about? Let's take it back to November 17th. What did you think when Henry Cavill was silent on the release of Snyder Cut?
I thought he either knew something or he was afraid of something.
Hmm. I mean, I was thinking this, especially when I saw that interview of when he was interviewing for The Witcher. I mean,
The
like it
mustache
sucks.
one?
Yeah, it sucks because like that's our Superman and stuff like that. But at the same time, dude, he's still fighting to get another Superman movie made. So I guess like from a business standpoint, he really can't say anything, and I get that. It just sucks to it just sucks because that's Superman. But I think people are looking at it as like Henry has something against Zack Snyder, but I don't think that's the case at all because if you listen, he's always praising Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, he talks about how much he loves Man of Steel, but I don't think he was on board with BVS to be honest.
To be fair, I never liked the idea of BVS before another Superman film because I
Okay,
felt,
we're on the same page because
yeah, because I
I think
feel,
Henry Cavill wanted to explore Superman's world more
yeah, and I
before,
wanted to as well.
but also then I heard a rumor I heard a rumor that was actually before the 5 part art thing, and I could be wrong, but I heard a rumor that was actually Zack's plan to begin with was just Superman. And then when Man of Steel wasn't received well by critics, that's when the studio wanted to bring Batman into it because Batman's a fan favorite.
Yeah, I think you're right because I'm trying to remember how he worded it at SnyderCon or the screening event. Um, uh, the street word for it is SnyderCon, but he mentioned a plan of Man of Steel, Superman, BVS, Justice League, Justice League, and then Superman. Something like that. And I forgot where I heard it, and I swear I heard it at SnyderCon. I don't know. I have to talk to other people who were there. But I do remember him saying they were like, no, 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 we need to throw Batman in now. So, um,
Because they panicked.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They panicked. Whenever they panic, they throw Batman in. Even in the
Whenever they
straight to
panic, that's
DVD.
when.
Even
Whenever
in
they
the
panic,
straight.
that's when.
Oh,
What?
sorry.
Go ahead, man.
Oh, okay, sorry. Even in the straight to DVD animated films, New Frontier, there was a scene where it's supposed to be Adam Strange in his ship, but the author of the book, he was doing the commentary of it, which is
Hmm.
a gift because he passed away.
Hmm.
He was saying that he really was hoping that he was looking forward to a scene where it was Adam Strange flying around, but the studio wanted more Batman in the animated film, so they made it Batman in his Batwing flying around in a specific scene. And he's like, studio always wants more Batman because it sells more money or something like that.
And
So I
don't
see
get me
that
wrong,
because
I'm a Batman fan, but it's like, come on now. I mean,
I know it's like let other people breathe. Because
you have all you. They have rights to all their heroes. They don't have to do no Marvel, Sony, Spider-Man BS. They have the rights to all their heroes.
mm-hmm.
Use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to
Uh,
my knowledge, yeah, that's correct. Because I was imagining there would be a Superman film, and we'd see Bruce Wayne around, but we wouldn't see Batman. And then the
well,
third
see,
one would be Batman v Superman. That'd been cool.
yeah,
Because
that would
Batman
been
v Superman takes place 18 months, well, after the Man of Steel opening of
yeah,
BVS. It says 18 months later. 18 months is a lot of time to have many Superman adventures.
a year and a half. Like like they could. I would have done honestly like a solid Superman trilogy first. Like the
Mm.
second movie, start bringing in Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor is like he doesn't like anything that's happened in Metropolis. With the whole Man of Steel battle, and maybe like have him like have Lex doing like the sneaky stuff behind the scenes like he always does, and maybe like create Metallo or somebody like that,
Yeah, I was guessing Metallo or Bizarro would show
and
up.
then oh yeah, you could do that too. See, there's many things they could do with the Superman, and that's what Henry Cavill wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
That and that, he doesn't have a thing against Zack Snyder because that's what the majority of people honestly probably think. But I think he wanted to explore the world of Superman more before he got into bringing other bringing Batman in and bringing
Mm.
Wonder Woman because I kind of feel and this is just me, but I kind of feel like when they brought Batman in and Ben Affleck crushed his Batman, And this is just me thinking, but I kind of feel like Superman kind of got pushed aside.
I kind of feel that way too. Cause
I mean, kinda.
kind of
Not.
because I feel like what we missed was because Man of Steel was a good Superman Begins story.
Yeah.
It has a lot of that template of Batman Begins too. You can't
Hmm.
deny that, and I think that's fine. Because in my eyes, Batman and Superman are brothers. They
Yeah.
mirror each other, so that's cool with me. But the fact that we see all of what we know Superman to be as far as being reporter Clark Kent. We saw that at the very end of Man of Steel, which shows okay, now his story can begin. He had his day
Hmm.
one, he had his first mission, he knows who he is. Now we can go on adventures. So then Batman v Superman, I see we got at the end of some epic Superman trilogy.
Yeah.
But
It,
I think it's cool because if they are taking story time away from Zack Snyder, I do understand if he is going to go and do the big chapter and focus on that, the big moments.
uh,
Because the director's cut, I felt they gave enough screen time for both.
True. And you know what? They say there's a longer version of Batman vs Superman out there. They say the actual Batman vs Superman is like 4 hours.
Hey, bring it on. I don't mind. I grew
Dude, I
up
would
on
love to see
Indian
it.
cinema, and let me tell you something about Indian cinema. The average runtime of an Indian film is 175 minutes to 185 minutes, give or take 30, depending on. So I'm already used to those films. So when I see people complain about runtime, no offense, and don't take this the wrong way, but I consider people a bunch of bitches when they complain about runtime. It's like, chill
Uh,
out, man. We live
yeah,
in a
I
day and
wonder.
age when you could press the pause button.
Do you think like anybody at Warner Brothers, like when they got that brilliant idea to make Justice League 2 hours? I don't know why, to try and sell more tickets, but then not to compare, but like then Marvel brings out a movie that's 3 hours and becomes like the biggest movie of all time. I wonder did I wonder did anybody just think like, well, damn, what are we doing?
I have to. I like the MCU for proving the enemies at WB, the people who are holding DC back.
Yeah.
I like MCU for showing those guys that or girls or whatever that they're being fools because they're like, oh yeah, well we can do an epic film and we'll bring in the money. Because I think that the real notes that Warner Brothers is trying to copy from Marvel's homework is the wrong notes, because they don't get it. Because at least Marvel, what they're doing, they're celebrating their characters for what they are. I feel that Marvel characters are a little bit too two-dimensional for me, but they're celebrating the characters for who they are and having fun with it however they want, but it's not against the characters, you know what I mean?
You
Um,
know,
I
go ahead.
think DC should Warner Bros. Should take notes as far as letting the direction and the creativity celebrate the characters rather than try and copy the frosting instead of the recipe of the cake.
You know what's one thing that DC is doing right that Marvel was doing, but they just got rid of it? Okay. DC and Warner Brothers pretty much I feel now has something for everybody. Like
Correct.
they have movies like Joker, they have movies like Birds of Prey, rated R movies, more hardcore. But then they have the movies like Shazam. They have movies like Aquaman. Something for everybody. Okay, Marvel. I think where Marvel messed up is by getting rid of those Netflix shows like Daredevil and Iron Fist,
Yeah, that was
because
great.
Daredevil was great. It was like dark and gritty, but it still existed in that same universe as like the Avengers. But it really wasn't like the stories wasn't tied to them. You know, wasn't connected to them. But
Yeah,
it
but the
exists in
problem.
that
Oh,
same
sorry, go ahead.
universe.
Yeah.
No, you're go ahead, man.
Yeah, but the thing is, Marvel is under Disney though, and Disney is very picky and specific.
But
Um,
that's going to be their downfall
yeah,
because you want to
because
know why? They own all this stuff now, and they own Fox. They're
Yeah, they
going to have
canceled
to change.
Assassin's Creed and a whole bunch of movies that would compete against Disney products. Did you know that?
They're going to have to change their content. Like they're going to have to make different content if they want to succeed. They like if they make another Deadpool movie, and I'm a huge Deadpool fan, they can't
Oh, right here
they
too.
they can't have a PG-13 Deadpool movie. That wouldn't work.
No.
Like they need to keep the Deadpool movies rated R. But what would be hilarious is when you put Deadpool in other movies that are PG-13 and censor him, and he's like doesn't know what's going on or why he's being censored. Just imagine the jokes that could come off that. That's gold right there.
That would be great. But also, here's another thing, because it's Disney. I don't know how comfortable Disney is with Deadpool mentioning, name dropping other products. Like in Deadpool 2, he said, "You're so dark" to Cable. Are you from the DC universe? That's freaking hilarious, right?
That's hilarious, but yeah, I
But
don't know
would
how they.
Warner Brothers like another company attached to their product? I mean, not Warner Brothers, Disney. I'm getting them mixed up now. No, but Disney is like very picky. Like I think because the Netflix Daredevil show, that was a Netflix original, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. See, Disney. I don't see Disney uh,
If
letting another
Disney,
company have the credibility of making a show not under
I
the
think
name with them.
if they brought Daredevil back today, I think Daredevil would probably be the same kind of quality as like the CW shows. You wouldn't see anybody getting stabbed. There'd be less blood like flying out and stuff like that. It would be cut down, like watered down to where it's that kind of quality,
Mm-hmm. Because the
in my
thing is,
opinion.
when Disney allows that stuff to fly under their banner, it is never under their banner. It's under a sister company. Like for the longest time, are you familiar with the film company called Miramax?
Yeah,
Yeah, so Miramax is a Disney-owned company, but a bunch of rated R shit comes out of Miramax. Like a lot of Tarantino films. I think few Tarantino films came out of Miramax. But
right.
yeah, that is a low-key Disney company. But they don't mention it. It's just straight up Miramax because then all the rated R, this content that's in Miramax films will not reflect Disney because low key the public audience don't know it's part of Disney. Even a few albums by Insane Clown Posse was by Disney Records, like a sister company of them. So
But they don't
technically,
want
Insane Clown
Disney wouldn't
Posse
want
was
them to
put
know
out by
that.
Disney.
Disney wouldn't want their name on that.
Exactly. We both know that.
Um, there's another thing I was gonna ask you about.
I
When
forget who's interviewing who. It's cool,
that's
whatever,
great.
man.
Uh, I had like a list of things. I was just, like stuff that would pop up. I'd write it down. Um, what do you think about when they gave the go ahead to make the Joker movie? Didn't Warner Brothers uh they didn't have enough faith in the product at the time because they didn't think a rated R movie could be that successful.
No, which is why it's
Even
so great. Because when Warner Bros. Doesn't have faith in something, but they greenlit it, they stay the hell away from it.
Yeah, and even though we just had Deadpool and Logan and both of those were rated R and very successful, but whatever. See, but when they did that, it came back and bit them in the ass because I'm trying to think what happened. Like they split like what was it, the profit with like two other companies or something like that, or they split the distribution prices with like two other companies. Something I don't know word for word what went on, but pretty much they didn't have enough faith in it. And I think it was Toby Emmerich that might have been behind that. I'm not sure.
Could
But
be.
then Joker came back and made $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, bam, they don't get to keep that whole $1 billion because they didn't have enough faith in their product, and they split the distribution rights with two other companies. So it's like, yeah, now instead of the whole thing, I'll get a quarter of it.
Yeah, that's the main reason they want to do number two. Because if they do number two, that means
Oh,
they could
they
collect all
don't.
the money for that. That
They
means that
don't need
when they
to.
re-release the second one under one of their banners, they could collect more money from that residue or residual or whatever.
Todd Phillips is a winner on that one
Yeah,
because
he is.
he didn't take any salary. He didn't take a salary up front. He just said he would take like 10% of what the movie makes, or it was like 13% or something. And I
Yeah.
read that he's going to bring home over like 120 million or 113 million or something like that.
Wow.
But no, they don't need to make a part two. And as much as I would like to see where the story of Arthur Fleck goes, they don't need to make a part two. They need to just go ahead and put that same talent, like the same writing, same energy into another character.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Make another standalone, because there's something beautiful about standalones, right? It's like we only have one Scarface. Do we need a Scarface too? And it's like along that vein. I think it's a nice piece, and
it works well with villains because let's face it, like when this like a movie, we know what the hero motivates or like what motivates them, what they go through. We see that, we see a little bit of the villain, but we really don't see what the villain really goes through. Like, and that's what was cool about the Joker. But I think the next movie they should definitely make Lex Luthor.
yeah, a lot of people say that because that sounds interesting. And wouldn't that be? It would be like a creepy sci-fi Wolf of Wall Street kind of deal.
I think Lex Luthor would be like a good, like it could be something like where he's in the White House, like he's the president.
Ooh, President Luthor. Ho.
Yeah, and he's going through. It reflects his childhood up until when he was like the businessman, and you get to see how Superman looks. And Superman don't have to be in it, but just like maybe like you see how Superman looks through Lex Luthor's eyes.
Or what if we would see like a story of Lex Luthor Senior even? Remember how in the BVS, Lex Luthor Jr. mentions his own father a lot. He mentions him like 3 or 4 times. One talking to the lady. One is like, nope, that's Daddy Lex before the Luthor. He mentions that his father used to beat him in front of Superman, Fist of Abomination and all that. And I think another one, but I forget. Anyways, it's like there's some history there. Oh yeah, and that his father was, when he was a boy, he'd throw
you could have all that.
A tyrant.
You could have all that in the Lex Luthor movie.
Exactly.
Like him, like I said, him reflecting on like his childhood and growing up. But also another great one would be Scarecrow. Scarecrow could be like going to the mind of like Jonathan Crane, and then like just the things he does to his victims. It could be like the first like, it could be like a comic book / horror type thing. Like that, like those two right there would be like my top choices for the next DC Black movies. And then Deathstroke would be a good one too.
Oh my gosh, I think Deathstroke would be. It could be like
because it could be like a military type movie.
Yeah.
Like if they're not going to use Deathstroke in the DCEU, do a DC Black movie on Deathstroke.
Oh, totally.
That'd be perfect.
Or even him going on like the most difficult mission for someone who's not a superhero.
Right.
You know?
And see, this is where people get it messed up, because like DC Black, like the whole thing about it is like low budget, like character study movies. But I've seen people say, "Oh, Sinestro would be a good one," and this. But then if you do like a movie about Sinestro, that's when you're gonna start getting like all these special effects, and and that's kind of like takes away from what it's supposed to be. You know what I mean?
Right. Unless it's on Sinestro's home planet before he gets the ring.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
That'd be good too. That's the only thing I hate that we didn't get to see in the that Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern. I was actually looking forward to see Sinestro, because at the end, remember when he put on the yellow ring?
Yeah. I was about relax, man. We did see him like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Mark Strong, I think that's the name. He did a great job as Sinestro, I thought.
He did. He did a great job. I liked him better as Sinestro than I did in Shazam.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I liked him better as Sinestro, but he was still pretty good in Shazam. He was like that.
Like, he's just a great actor. I loved him in Kick-Ass. He killed me in Kick-Ass.
Oh yeah, he was the villain in Kick-Ass, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And also he was the villain in the first Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, yep, that's right.
He's just good at playing villains.
Yeah, he has a certain demeanor and a cockiness to him that comes out very smooth and easy for him.
He probably would have made a good Lex Luthor.
I think he could be a good anyone. Shoot, he could be a good Catwoman if he wants. But I want to go back to censorship with Wonder Woman, because now I'm just kind of, I call it, I'm CM punked out. Like, not in a bad way, but when CM Punk left the WWE, I just naturally, not in a malicious way, I was just like, man, you guys hurt my feelings. I'm not gonna watch it for a while.
Yeah.
Right now with superhero films, and most things, I'm not in a rush to see them anymore because I'm really, really waiting for that Snyder Cut, and I feel like they got to give me a Snyder Cut if I'm gonna give them more money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like the Snyder Cut will come out. I have so
Yeah.
much faith that it is coming out. I
Hmm.
just don't know when. So I've made a promise to myself that I will catch up on all the movies. I just will do it after Snyder Cut comes out.
Here's the thing,
But
man.
I'm not doing it in a negative way.
No, no, I feel you.
I just don't
I
feel
was,
comfortable buying into them after they screwed me and Zach over and everyone else.
I think there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that concerns the Snyder Cut. They're probably working out some kind of deal, but like the fans, the people, they don't know yet. They're keep like we don't know yet. They're keeping us in the dark about it. But I think there's more going on behind the scenes with it than we know about.
There has to
And
be. I want them
I
to be
think
doing
I
more. I
think
want them
Zach's
thinking.
throwing us little hints at it, like the thing he said about the long road back, that Vero post, and
Yeah.
like he's throwing us hints, but he can't come out and say anything.
And I
And I'm pretty
appreciate that because that's giving me hope.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Warner Brothers knows, unless they're just completely clueless, that if they release that, they know that it's going to make money. They know it is. And I think there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and they're getting ready for it to be released, but we just don't know yet.
Mm-hmm. You know how, like
Like
you said earlier about watching all the little snippets, the behind the scenes clips or a picture that
yeah,
would arrive. That's how I would always kind of I'm not a fan of trailers all the
yeah,
time. Actually, most of the time I despise them because I'm like I'm already sold, so I don't want to see anything.
yeah.
But behind the scenes photos always inspire me because I like seeing. I feel like I can get more sense creatively as to how hard they're working on doing a certain tone or moment or expression. And with Snyder Cut, it's more than just requesting because Zach is giving us those little behind the scenes like so much to the point where I think you could put all those pictures together in the order that they came out, put some music to it, and we have a trailer. And that would I feel like there's so much of that. Just saying that it's definitely coming out.
It's coming, man. Like I said it when I was on Go Deep. I said it's no longer a question of if it's coming out, it's just when it
Yeah,
comes out. And it's coming out, man. Like I really do think that it's coming out. Like I said, they're not gonna come tell us yet. And like,
I just don't want to wait forever, my man. This is
oh, I don't want to
painful.
wait. But then I'm thinking like, well, the hell, we've been waiting for when did BVS come out? 2016.
Yeah.
We've been waiting 3 years for it.
Yes, since we knew the slate, I've been waiting for this movie.
But yeah, it's coming, man. But they won't tell us yet. But you know what? I think when they do announce that it's coming out, it's gonna be one of them things that just comes out of nowhere, like the announcement for it, and it's just gonna break the internet.
Yeah, it will.
But
Huh.
yeah, I mean, it's coming.
Now,
I know it is.
yeah. Ah,
But
it's very testing, and one thing for sure is the community is really nice. I mean, everyone I've talked to who is passionate about the film has so much to say, so much to share. Life experiences that people have are tied to the film, are tied to the experience of promoting the Snyder Cut. I've seen best friendships establish, and I've
yeah,
made
man,
some new friends.
I've talked to some really cool people through the
Right?
movement. There's just like one thing that I wish would go on. Like me, I am not a fan of like fighting unless somebody like comes and attacks
That's
me
where I was
personally.
coming to, man.
I just wish like when you got people that says like, oh, it doesn't exist, or oh, it's not complete. Like, just you know what? Let them talk. And I was telling my son this the other day because he got in a fight at school,
Oh.
and I said, boy, I said a dog howls at the moon every night, and the moon doesn't say anything back. The moon ignores the dog. What does the dog do? And he says, quit howling. I say, exactly. Now, if the moon started howling back at the dog, there's just going to be a bunch of back and forth going. So when people start, saying like, "Oh, y'all are stupid for believing this," blah blah blah, and like it doesn't exist, it's not done, just let them talk, ignore them, and they'll stop. And the same people that said that, when it's released, is going to be watching it the first night it comes out. Guarantee
Mm-hmm.
it. Guarantee it.
I agree, and that's very wise. That's a beautiful story you told him to,
Yeah,
because that
man.
makes sense. Because look at my dog; he just barked at moving cars. It's like what
And
they
we
do,
and we haven't heard him since.
and we haven't heard him since. Amen, man. That's beautiful, and I'm glad you said that because before I went into this movement, I have a best friend of mine. He's very passionate about film too. He's a writer, um, and I love talking to him not just because he's my best friend, but because he's coming at films in a very different way that I'm coming at films. So he
Mm,
opens my mind to perspective, and I hope I do the same for him. But we
mm,
don't always agree, and he's not really a Snyder fan at all.
mm,
And it's more of aesthetics that he doesn't like Snyder, and I respect that because it's honest. And
mm.
but he's not going out and hating the guy or whatever. Um, so I was forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, but anyways, so oh yeah, I remembered. So he told me he's like, oh, you're gonna be going online with your YouTube channel and all this. He's like, well, be careful. It's a very toxic world. And I was like, it is, because I thought about that. Then when I went into it and then I saw it, I was like, oh, I think this is. I see what he's talking about, but what I saw was more of a competition of people trying to not really talk to each other, but talk at each other to kind of outdo them with some kind of like um, no holds, no rules barred speech and debate, where people get
Yeah.
ugly and then they just say, no, you're stupid. Oh, no, they're fucking more or whatever. But they're all just fighting to be right. And
And
I always thought a conversation to be had for revelation's sake or sharing or taking or giving from those stories that are shared. So I made it a point I was never going to attack people. My beef is going to be with mindsets. And there's some 40 clubbers I don't like too, but I talk to them as in past tense because
mhm.
they might be cool people now or they might still be stubborn, but unless I know that they've changed and we actually want to converse, I know exactly what they're coming at, and it's to talk at me, not with me. So I'm not going to deal with that at all.
Well, that's a good way to be. Think of it like this, man. Look at Zach, for instance. Zach seems like, very nice guy. And all the people in the movement and in the 40 Club, whatever, that are going at each other, that are fighting each other, Zach will treat both of those people the same respect and tell them both, I appreciate what y'all are doing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, he probably doesn't want like all the fighting and stuff like that. If he could say that, he'd probably be like, don't argue, don't fight. All y'all want the same thing. Just be cool and just keep showing support. Just
It's
don't fight about it.
I'm glad you said that because he said the whole meaning. I love it when he came to for him the meaning of BVS, and at SnyderCon he said it, and not many people talk about this, which is interesting to me. But a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people talk about, oh, he said Lois gets killed on the original version, or da da. People are
Yeah.
hung up on the details, but the most profound thing that I took away from SnyderCon is when he said the meaning of BVS was that okay, you got these two guys who are very similar, and they don't like each other's methods, and they only know each other from that stereotype they have for each other. But when it came down to it, the small truth that their mother has the same name was the first huge passionate echo of that they actually have something in common. And Zack Snyder said, if we just talk to each other, we may figure out that we have more in common than we have against.
Exactly.
And that's what BVS was
Exactly.
about.
And
And
look,
you
man.
see Superman, he's in Man of Steel, he's like punching his eyes like, you think you can threaten my mother? And then
Yeah.
he's like, where is she? That's his heart and soul of his whole heart beating self, his
Hmm.
mother. And then we know Batman, he's defined by losing his mother. And
The night that his parents was pretty much the night Bruce Wayne's parents was murdered, Batman was born because from then on Bruce Wayne was on that path. He
yeah.
didn't know it, but he was on that path.
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about Batman for Batman v Superman: The Growth is that Batman is he grows from tragedy. He's
Hmm.
inspired by tragedy, and we see three tragedies form Batman. In BVS, we see his parents killed, the famous tragedy that made him. In the opening of the World Engine attacking Metropolis, we see
Hmm.
another tragedy define Batman's bloodlust to try and kill Superman because
Hmm.
he thinks this must end. This is because Batman, he's a human like us. He
Hmm.
only sees the magnitude of the Kryptonians. He doesn't see beyond that. Superman is already aware of other worlds and possibilities of something else, or so it's
Hmm.
hinted, right? So that's Bruce Wayne's Batman's second tragedy is the the attack on Metropolis by the Kryptonians, and then
And
his
like when
third tragedy.
his company was destroyed and like he lost employees and stuff
Yeah,
like
that
that.
it hit
Yeah.
hard on multiple elements and
Yeah.
seeing other people in pain. And then the third tragedy was seeing the guy that he thought is difficult to kill actually sacrifice himself in a courageous, manly way that, Batman accused him of not being brave. He
Hmm.
actually sacrificed himself to a threat greater than Superman, which Batman thought was the greatest threat of all. Apparently, no, there's other threats greater than Superman. So you get
Hmm.
that tragedy of losing someone who could have been your greatest ally. And then
That's deep.
Batman is born through that trilogy of tragedies.
And that's deep. That right
Zack
there was
Snyder likes
bringing
trilogies.
Batman back to like Superman's sacrifice is what was bringing Batman back to like chilling him out like what have I been doing, and he
Hmm.
realized that in the scene where Lois like where the Martha scene and Lois said it's his mother's name, and he stepped back. That's when he realized, what have I become? What am I doing? And that's when he threw the spear and he was just let out that scream.
Yeah.
And what do you think about in the Snyder Cut? It was going to explore more of like Batman feeling that guilt of how he's been lately, like what he's been doing, what he his actions that he's taken, like how it's just way out of his character.
Oh, what
Like
was the question again?
like in the Snyder Cut, they were from what I hear they were going to explore Bruce Wayne's guilt of the actions that he's taken recently and like just how he's been like how he pretty much lost himself like him feeling that guilt for that you know
I think that'd be very, very interesting because when we see Batman at Superman's funeral, he's next to Wonder Woman and he has that whole spiel like, we have to stand together, blah, blah.
yeah.
I feel like he's reciting something he knew deep down inside before. He just never really committed to it. Because Batman had usually been a realist slash pessimistic view on life.
Hmm.
But one thing you rarely see him do, and sometimes you see him show it, is that he does have some Superman qualities as far as belief systems for justice. I think maybe he forgot his hope, and because we have that scene where he's looking at the hologram of Superman in one of
Yeah.
the trailers, and I think he grows to be more admiration of his actions, his feats, and I feel, and I'm guessing, and I'm hoping that we see in the Snyder Cut more of him just kind of missing the person he wished he knew better.
Yeah, I'm sure we will to some degree. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, because Zach pays a lot of attention to not just visual detail, but emotional detail. I like that he chooses his talent and actors in his stories to. He's like, okay, no, I want you to say, carry yourself like this, Michael Shannon, because you're a general. Treat it like your
Yeah.
job. You know, it's like there's situational and history into the actor's performance, which I feel is great for actors because some actors, their lines are designed just as to spell it out for the audience. But when you could feel the history behind the words that they say, you know that there's history just by the emotions because it's like, dang, they were there, you know? Instead of having to spell it out for you. I appreciate that tone. And I think we would have
It's
seen more of that with Batman for the
it's
loss
like
of Superman.
it's like what I was saying about like how people in the Snyder Cut movement, like they want the same thing, but yet they just fight each other and they just go about it differently. You know what I mean? It's like Batman and Superman. They want the same thing. They want like peace on Earth and stuff like that, and they just go about it differently and just fight each other.
Yeah, and I think part of it is the stress and frustration of the situation we're all in. I was just telling you the wait is painful, right?
Yeah,
But every day I'm choosing to try and be like positive. I say that
yeah,
with a pause because every now and then I have a salty tweet. I know it, but
yeah,
I'm trying to be positive and hopeful because it would be so much easier for me to, let's say, lash out on someone who I think is wrong,
yeah.
just to get that negative energy out. But I feel that we got to really take to heart what these themes of being a superhero is. You know, like we do some charity works, like AFSP had like walks, and we have so many things we could do for the movement to take that stressful energy out instead of on each other. See, Twitter, social media is easy. You could say something negative or derogatory to someone. Someone actually called me negative and derogatory terms too. Like I couldn't speak English. Apparently, it's my second language. And then they were being all racial, but I was like, okay, whatever. And then I just block them. You know, I don't even entertain that. But I could see
See,
that
that
that's
kind
their
of stuff is
response towards me.
ridiculous.
What's
Yeah,
that?
that kind of like I don't get like why people put up that kind of energy towards somebody. Like, man, I can't. I
Yeah,
don't know,
see, the
man.
thing is,
I
I
can't
feel
be
they
that
think
way.
it's easy because they can't see the other person on the other end. There's no
Yeah,
consequence of like, ooh, because many times in the past I've said something out of context and I could see how it affected someone, and all of a sudden I feel guilt because like, oh no, I went too far. You know, there's
yeah,
not that feeling, that conscience doesn't get to be your guide in that moment, I guess.
yeah.
Hmm.
You're absolutely right, man.
It's kind of easier. And what does Gandalf say in Lord of the Rings to Frodo? He says we're always faced with doing two things in life: doing what's right and what's easy.
Wow, that's powerful, man.
Oh, I love that line. It was in Fellowship. It was when they were trying to discover. They were in the mines of Moria, and they were trying to
Yeah,
figure out which way to go. And they had a little moment where they could just talk. And I think they were talking about Gollum, where Frodo said Bilbo should have killed him when he had the chance, right?
yeah.
And Gandalf said, "No, I think he expressed pity on him for a very important reason that you can't, or something like you can't put in words." And that's when he dropped that line. And I've taken that line to heart because I feel good and evil is very gray, and sometimes it's black and white, but
Yeah.
sometimes the right thing to do and sometimes the easy thing to do is not bad consequential. Maybe I'm like, I'll sleep in later. I'll hit the snooze button. You know, that's easy. It's harder to wake up in the morning. But if I wake up in the
I,
morning, that's the right thing. I'm earlier to get my stuff done.
the right thing to do and the hard thing to do are usually the same thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um,
Wow. See, that was good. You taught Gandalf a thing or two.
one thing I wish also going like and this is not just for the Snyder Cut movie. This is just for people in general. Not
Hmm.
everybody is going to have the same opinion as you, and that makes it okay. You know,
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast, and it was actually Joaquin Phoenix when Joker came out. He was on this podcast, and he was saying that he was listening to two people. One person loved the movie, and the other person hated it.
Mm.
and they were going back and forth about why, like their opinions, and they were both making sense. It wasn't one was trying to like outdo the other one. He said he could see both. He could see both points, and
Mm.
that's how more people should think. It's okay for somebody not to have the same opinion as you, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like don't belittle a person or get nasty towards them just because they don't have the same idea or the same view as you. I mean, that's fine. That's what makes people humans.
Yeah. Like I want to go back to my friend too to add to that. He's
Yeah,
another film guy and writer. He
yeah.
loves slasher flicks and horror films. And to me, I
Hmm.
feel they're trying too hard, and I feel they're being gory for the sake of it. But thanks to him, I saw enough horror films to find out which horror films I like, and I found
Hmm.
out through him because before I never even watched horror films.
Yeah.
But through him, I found out I'm the person who likes horror films that have like a spiritual or philosophical moment, like the Japanese original Dark Water or El Orfanante, the Spanish movie called The Orphanage that Guillermo del Toro did,
Hmm.
where it's kind of like a dramatic paranormal situation and it has something to do with the soul. So I was like, ooh, I like those. And I would never have found out that I liked those because I didn't like the whole genre. Now,
Yeah.
thanks to him introducing that to me, and I've introduced him to some martial arts films that he likes, and he's not really into martial arts films for the technique that I like. But then by seeing his fascination with horror and what he likes about it, I can see is the same that I like about martial arts films. And I realize it's a taste thing. So it doesn't mean that just because I don't visit the realm of horror so much that horror is bad. And likewise for him with martial arts. So I'm thinking, why can't people approach film like we approach music? Like you say, you hear some people like, I listen to everything except country. And some people are like, oh man, I love country, but I'm not into rap music. It's like, but when you hear people say that, no one is offended for like, well, I listen to hip hop, and because you said rap music is not your thing, you piss me off. You don't hear that ever.
Yeah.
It's like it's tastes are respected. It should be across the board, I think, because
Yeah.
a lot of it's preference based too.
It all goes back to this, man.
What's
Well,
up?
you and your friend got that way because like okay, you kept an open mind and you're like, okay, I'm gonna check this out, and you found out horror movies that you like. And the same with him in martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it goes back to that kind of thing, like people. What does it say on Man of Steel? Is it people hate what they don't understand, or people are afraid of what they don't understand?
That was
So
Man of Steel afraid. I think Martha said hate.
okay, like you like a lot of times people they don't get something or they don't understand something, they don't want anything to do with it, they don't have an open mind enough
Mm,
to just check it out, for themselves.
yeah.
And then when they finally do look at something and like give it a peace of mind, they're like, wow, I really do like that, I like that more than I thought I would.
Yeah, because you know what? Opening your mind and pausing your expectations and preferences to explore something very foreign to you, that's
Yeah.
not easy. That takes work. That's sometimes the right thing to do.
And like when I have conversations with my friends about like we're just talking about how shitty like the country is and just how everybody's being. I said, you know what? All the hate in the country is never going to get resolved. And I say, you want to know why? Because nobody wants to just sit down and talk to each other anymore.
Mm,
Nobody wants to sit down and have a conversation. It's like, okay, I told him, I said, me and you, we have a problem with each other, but we don't know why. We never sit down, we never talk about it. So really, we just point fingers back and forth and make faces at one another, but we don't know why. And
right.
then it just keeps going on and keeps going on
Hmm.
because we haven't sat down and communicated and talked about why we have problems with each other. So nothing never gets resolved. And that's what's going to happen with people today.
Mm, yeah, I
Yep.
see that. And also,
And
it's a little different because I think when you and I said, "Hey, we got a podcast," because I think we were talking in messages to each other about Wonder Woman,
yeah,
and I looking back, I could see that I couldn't tell your tone. It was just words, and I was reading it however way I was taking it in my mind, but that reflected more me and not you. However, when we talk, we could hear each other's tone. We could understand each other way more than just reading a response on social media.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm very sure that, if we're in person, seeing our facial expressions would even be more information
Hmm.
shared through communication. So I think people are getting too comfortable at distancing themselves with words online, and they're missing the whole human interaction.
It's
So
like
I worry
it's
if
like
they're entertaining, missing out on a human conversation that's healthy.
it's like when me and my girlfriend text,
Yeah.
and like I think she'll be pissed about something. And I'm like, "Are you mad?" Like she'll be telling me about something, be like, "Are you mad?" She's like, "No, I'm not mad at all. Why?" And I'm like, "Oh, you didn't say LOL. You didn't say LOL. You didn't put an emoji with it in front of it
Right?
or something like that." So it's like people has just gotten used. Like you can't tell somebody's tone through a text message. Like I've come to learn that. Like you can't tell how somebody's really feeling about something unless they come out
Yeah.
and flat out say like I'm pissed off. Like if you can't really tell how somebody's tone is during a message. They could be like the happiest person on earth and like write a message a certain way and they'll be like, oh, what are they so upset about?
Yeah, my last girlfriend, when I would have like deep conversations with her, she
Yeah.
would call me immediately. I was like, "Hey, what's up?" She's like, "Oh my gosh, I was just are you mad?" I was like, "No, I was just going into detail. What? How you doing?" She's like, "Oh, I hear your voice now. Okay, I'm all right." I was like, "It's like, oh, so sweet." But I was like, how are you reading it? What's wrong? Talk to me now. I'm worried. It's like, oh man. But you are definitely right. There's like, and I feel like people who have malintent, especially online, the whole toxic topic, I think
Hmm.
it's easier for that to grow ugly because of that lack of human interaction through conversation. And you could tell people get heated, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Then people go just get mad and just say the nastiest things and stuff. Like it's like chill out.
Yeah.
DM that person and ask them what's wrong. Be like, hey, let's podcast about this or let's video chat about this. Like, come on now. Like, there's no sense in all that.
Yeah, even what I do when I feel the moment or the hint of being triggered, I pause and I go,
Yeah.
wait a second. Let's make sure I know what's going on before I reply something I will regret. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I've made the mistake of taking things out of context before. I think we all
Oh
have.
yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
nowadays, when something is weird, I ask questions. I was like, well, what do you mean? Well, what about this? And even me asking questions, people have thought that I've been going off on them. I'm like, no, 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 no. I would. Okay, well, I don't know what to say anymore. You're right. It's okay. Let's go on. But it's just like even I feel like even people take the simplest of questions out of context because they look at being questioned as a bad thing. But I'm actually no, I'm actually legit like what? It's just so funny, man. So hey, I want to finish up on some Wonder Woman. So let's talk about
All
that
right.
trailer because there's two things that concern me about Wonder Woman, and not in a
Mhm.
bad way though. Now, when I
Mhm.
say nitpicky things, it's only
Mhm.
because well, I have a rule. Nitpicky situations or nitpicky
Mhm.
notes are never big enough to ruin the movie.
Yeah.
Because I feel that if people are damning a film over something nitpicky, I feel that they never liked it from the beginning. Because
Yeah.
let's say one movie can have two. There's probably two things I don't like in Man of Steel, but the movie is filled with like 200 things I love about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of overshadows the nitpicky. And nitpicky, I don't know, I think it's just not a bad thing, but it's there. But like Wonder Woman in the trailer, this is one of my nitpicky things that I don't like about it, is that she pulls a gun back and then the bullet comes out in slow motion and then she backhands the bullet.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, well, the bullet is out of the gun. It hasn't been fired, so moving it out of the way would only be advantageous if she's hitting the bullet to hit another opponent or hit another gun or hit a camera so no one's filming her. But if she's just hitting a bullet off to the side, I think that's kind of dumb because the guy has another bullet in the chamber, and it's not like the guy is fast enough to pick up the bullet, take out the clip, put the bullet back in the clip, put the clip back in the gun, and then shoot her. By then, she has enough speed to hit him. So little moments like that make me feel like, ooh, that's a little forced and over the top in a bad
there might
way.
be something more coming with that
I
part.
hope there is, but I see stuff like that. I'm like, because I remember people saying,
It might
look,
be something more coming with it.
I
Like
hope
maybe
so.
somebody's about to try and shoot her or something.
Yeah, yeah, I hope so.
Maybe
It'd be
there's somebody
clever.
with yeah. So yeah, there might be more with that.
Yeah, so that's a little weird thing. And then my other weird thing about that, just the trailer alone, not the sword and shield. I feel that's a different
Yeah.
matter. But the other one is like when the van flips up and
Uh-huh.
then Wonder Woman's jumping or landing in slow motion. Her
Mhm.
torso is just so straight. You could tell she's on a harness. And
Yeah.
that's just like one of those things that kill me. I was like, oh, I see
It
the
might
hand moving the puppet. It's just kind of weird stuff like that. So
like when you watch a puppet show or and you can see like the strings like
yeah,
hang.
yeah, it's like I could see the
It might be
strings there.
it might be one of them things like it's probably not even close to being finished yet because well we still got what like 6 months for that movie comes out.
Yeah, it's true. And I remember Michael Bay, everything's a lot of things are digital now. And I remember Michael Bay was editing Transformers before it hit theaters.
Yeah, so yeah, that's
So,
probably just one of them things like the movie comes out, you
yeah,
know.
exactly.
Now then again, like if I'm wrong, I'll come back on the podcast and say, you know what, I was wrong about that.
Hey, it's okay. Nothing wrong with being wrong, man.
Yeah,
Being wrong is the first step towards wisdom, so it's okay.
yeah,
Um,
it's all a lesson.
yeah, it's all a lesson. And I will check out Wonder Woman because I think it's going to be good energy, fun,
Like I
and
said, man, I think DC is finally on the right track. They finally got a slate that's pretty solid. Just go ahead and throw Man of Steel 2 into that. And the only thing, like I said, that I'm worried about is just that little part of Birds of Prey.
mm,
But that's not going to stop me from going to check it out. So I
hell
think
yeah.
DC's pretty solid, and the Snyder Cut's for sure coming. I know it's coming. I think it's done. You know, Zack Snyder said it's done. Jason Momoa said it's done. And you know, like I said earlier, I'm sure there's probably a lot of things going on behind the scenes that concern it. They just don't want the public to know yet. But
Yeah, which I think is the smart thing to do, really.
yeah, and when it is announced, it's gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna blow up the internet.
No, we both
It's,
know it's going to blow up the internet,
yeah,
and that's going to be good for it. And
yeah.
I have faith it's coming out, so I am going to see all these DC movies after the Snyder Cut comes out.
It's just a matter of when.
Just a matter
Like
of when.
yeah, but if I want to see it in theaters, but if I had to say, it would be very smart, like business wise, if it was HBO Max. You
Mm.
know, like
Or
if they maybe
both.
if they gave like if they gave it like maybe like a 2 week run in theaters,
Right.
and then remember when The Killing Joke came out? Batman: The Killing Joke, like it came out in theaters for like one night only. Like
Oh, that's
maybe
how I
or like
saw Death of Superman and Reign of Superman. They had a
and then like
Grindhouse
they
event.
and yeah, then they came out like on Blu-ray like the next week or something like that. Like if they did the Snyder Cut where it was like maybe like a 2 week run in theaters or like maybe like a month run even, and
They
then
did that
like
with
release it
BVS,
on.
the extended edition.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I wasn't showing anywhere near me though because I was looking for it. But
I was out of country at that time or something like that. It was like, dang it,
oh,
you
okay.
guys suck.
Yeah, and like do it like that. Like give it like a little short theatrical run and then like release it on HBO Max. And you know how many people is gonna that's gonna like boost their subscribers up like bam,
Especially for
like on
asking for
day one.
15 bucks a month. I'm like,
Yeah,
whoa, guys.
yeah.
I had to like really psych myself up to pay 11 bucks a month for Hulu. 12 bucks? I mean, 15 bucks? Wow. Yeah.
But Warner Brothers has a really good category, especially if I think back to like movies like in the '90s, like all
Mm.
their classics.
Yeah,
So
when they were kind of more trailblazing of film company, they really
yeah,
took some creative leaps, and I admired that.
yeah.
But yeah, but hey, I guess we'll wrap it up here. But hey, you and I could keep talking on the social media, of course.
Oh
But
yeah, and I got your number. Is this your number?
yeah, this is my direct contact information. So tweet me anytime. I mean, text me anytime you want, brother. I'm cool.
All right, man.
And then
Man, I appreciate you having me on, man. It's been fun.
yeah, we didn't even talk about, you know, who you are and all that because you guess what? Everyone listening to this, go deep and listen to the episode with our boy here and the comedic genius. He's on Go Deep. I'll probably put the link. I'll put the link in the description so you can catch that. My boy PD Swain on his Go Deep. He had a beautiful interview with you, brother, and I think I just want people to check out that if they want to find out more about you.
Shout
'Cause
out to Philly, man.
oh hell yeah,
I always admire somebody that like gives people the chance to like just come on and just like, speak their mind. That's how you get different ideas, different opinions, just hearing what somebody else has to say.
yeah, and you
So
know you made me
shout
feel
out to
better
him,
about these new
man.
movies coming out too.
Yeah, man. Shout out to him, man. Shout out to Go Deep, man. That's like, everybody, man. Everybody that's a part of the movement. Just remember, stay positive. It's coming. Cut out all the fighting. Don't fight each other. Don't argue. It's coming. We all want the same thing.
Hell
It's
yeah.
coming.
Mm. Can you say that one more time?
It's coming.
Oh yeah. Oh, that felt good. Oh, I felt like you remember Lion King, the two Whoopi Goldberg's character. The guy's like Mufasa, ooh, do it again, Mufasa, ooh. I feel like that just happened right now. Oh man. All right, well, thanks, brother, and we'll be
Man.
in touch.
Oh, we definitely will, man. I appreciate you having me, man.
Hey, thanks for being on Kojay's Corner, Slices of Life. This is to be continued always.
All right, man. Peace.
Late.